Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. Among war films, there's a classic film with an all-star ensemble cast, a compelling plot, and with its blend of heart-stopping action, brisk dialogue, and dark humor, would change the genre forever. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, when a dangerous, one might say suicidal, war mission is devised, who better to choose than soldiers who have nothing left to lose? Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
The Dirty Dozen is a movie I watch every time it plays. Why? It's about casting, nonconformity, racism, and a Faustian bargain made between the Army and a bunch of underdogs. It's also a time capsule and look into the beginning of the late 60s where America began to look at war, institutions, and authority introspectively. I believe these themes accounted for the box office success of this fine movie. The film is set in 1944, and Army Officer Major John Reisman, played by Lee Marvin, is ordered by the commander of the U.S. Army in Britain, Major General Sam Worden, played by Ernie Borgnine, to undertake Project Amnesty, which is a top-secret mission to train and place some of the Army's worst convicts into a likely suicide mission where they must infiltrate a regal chateau in France, where high-ranking German officers are headquartered, and kill them, destroying the German chain of command before D-Day. Any of the 12 convicts who survive the mission will receive a pardon. This is a Faustian bargain for the convicts. Let's meet the 12 convicts, as introduced by Sergeant Clyde Bowron, played by Richard Jekyll.
Vladek, M. 30 years hard labor. Jefferson, R.T. Death by hanging. Pinkley, V.L. 30 years imprisonment. Gilpin, S. 30 years hard labor. Posey, S. Death by hanging.
Back to casting as a driver for my addiction to this film. Lee Marvin was an actor's actor. He shows up, delivers his lines with charisma, and in this film, playing Major John Reisman, has irreverence for the command to whom he reports, but a unique ability to understand, relate to, and motivate a group of misfits, psychopaths, and sociopaths. Ernie Borgnine plays General Sam Worden, who handpicked Reisman to lead the ragtag team. The general is a play-it-by-the-book commander, but underneath the tough-as-nails veneer, he realizes only a nonconformist officer like Reisman, with a checkered record within the Army, can train and lead the team of 12. Reisman is called before the command.
Would it be relevant to ask why I'm being offered this mission?
It's not, as you say, being offered.
I'm volunteering.
Exactly, Major. You know, I'm glad you look at these things so realistically.
I don't mean to appear unduly cautious, but if my personal survival is going to depend upon the performance of 12 deadheads, it might be helpful to know exactly what I have to train them for.
Now, that's a very good question, Major.
Now, Brewster, let's have that basic outline.
Yes, sir.
Project Amnesty. You will select 12 general prisoners convicted and sentenced to death or to long terms of imprisonment for murder, rape, robbery, and/or other crimes of violence and so forth. Train and qualify these prisoners in as much of the business of behind-the-lines operations as they can absorb in a brief but unspecified time. You will then deliver them secretly into the European mainland and just prior to the invasion, attack and destroy the target specified over leaf.
That's all?
That's all.
John Cassavetes plays convict Victor Franco, a condemned man, former Chicago mobster, and defines nonconformity. Watch the scene when he and Major Reisman are locked inside the cell together, and Reisman lays out the proposition. Cassavetes digs deep, finding a sinister, psychopathic sneer, laugh, and like a billboard for bipolarism, jumps to his feet in agreement to join. He was nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar for this portrayal.
You talk, I'll listen. Okay. Now, you either can sweat out the 2 days you have before the hanging, or you can join an outfit that I'm putting together. If you do that, I'll have you out of here in less than 24 hours. But you'll be worked to death, and there's not a beating you won't take. And then when I'm satisfied with you, You'll go in just where the Army tells you. Chances are you get killed anyway.
You don't know Victor Franco.
Guard!
All right, what's the deal? What's the deal if I do stay alive?
You might get off the hook.
Okay, count me in. I'm in.
But you foul up once, anywhere along the line, just once. And you'll be right back here at the end of a rope.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's the matter with you? You think I want to die? If you do, then you don't know Victor Franco.
Director Robert Aldrich missed an opportunity to shoot this scene from the top down, as if we're watching two caged rats, which I contend both are. The Dirty Dozen is an anti-war film. The war in Vietnam was raging in '67, and in '68 the Tet Offensive would drag the United States inextricably into a war nobody wanted to fight and didn't want to win. Robert Ryan's apt portrayal of Colonel Everett Dasher Breed resembles President Lyndon Johnson to this viewer, likely intended by the filmmakers. The set design includes an ugly fortress-style military prison serving as a metaphor for life inside the proverbial toilet of the Army, and enabling us to understand a suicide mission is better than life inside this medieval torture chamber. Our first introduction inside is witnessing a pathetic pleading prisoner being hanged, I contend, to send a message to Reisman.
I didn't...
Private Arthur James Gardner, you've been found guilty as charged of the crime of murder. Your case has been appealed 3 times. It's been reviewed 3 times. The verdict of each court-martial has been the same. Guilty as charged. Do you have anything to say before sentence is carried out?
I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
This is what's awaiting your foul-ups if they don't sign on to Project Amnesty. Racism runs rampant inside the movie and reflects the 60s. The military police darn helmets with a bright white stripe and MP emblazoned on their helmets, wear white gun belts and white leather sheathing above their boots. White on captors are metaphors for a not-so-colorblind army and clear statement as to who is in charge. Jim Brown was the only black actor cast as Jefferson, sentenced to death by hanging.
Don't sweet-talk nobody. You know why I'm here. Or maybe you think I should have let those cracker bastards go right ahead and castrate me.
Well, seeing what those guys were trying to do to you, I'd say that you had considerable justification.
Thank you, Mr. Major, sir. I really do thank you for that.
But the court didn't agree, right? So where does that leave you? I'm offering you an alternative, which means you can keep on fighting.
Who for, Major?
For yourself, if you want. But the Krauts, they're the real master race merchants.
That's your war, man, not mine. You don't like the Krauts, Major, you fight them. Me, I'll pick my own enemies.
You get a healthy dose of racism from convict Maggot, played by Telly Savalas, who is condemned to die. He's a southern sociopath and twisted Bible-thumping misogynist.
I never raped that evil slut, or any other creature. The Lord gave me that woman and told me to chastise her.
And then he told you to beat her to death, huh?
I only do what I'm called on to do. I was in a state of grace. And that woman, she tried to soil my spirit.
Well, I'm sure you were, Maggot. But it seems to me I remember a quotation that goes like, vengeance is mine.
Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Paul to the Romans, chapter 12.
Exactly. Now, isn't that supposed to mean that we leave the punishment of the transgressors to his capable hands?
That's right, Major. Damn. That's exactly what it means. But it doesn't restrict him to the kind of tools he would use, now does it? And like I told you, Major, I only do what I'm called on to do.
Reisman has an innate ability to manage the misfits in organization.
You've all volunteered for a mission which gives you just 3 ways to go. Either you can foul up in training and be shipped back here for immediate execution of sentence, or you can foul up in combat, in which case I will personally blow your brains out, or you can do as you're told, in which case you might just get by. You must not attempt to escape. There will be no excuses, there will be no appeal. Any breach of either of these conditions by any one of you means that you will all be shipped right back here for immediate execution of sentence. You are therefore dependent upon each other. Now, are there any questions?
Sir!
Do we have to eat with Nick?
It's all right, Sergeant. A gentleman from the South made some kind of inquiries about the dining arrangements. He and his colleagues are discussing the place card setting up. All right, Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Aside from Brown, the only actor of color is our friend Trini Lopez. See my podcast about this prolific singer-songwriter. He plays Pedro Jimenez, sentenced to 20 years hard labor. Nothing is accidental in film, and they needed at least one sane, affable prisoner, and Trini brings it to his portrayal of Jimenez. Robert Ryan plays Colonel Breed, a by-the-book West Point spit-and-polish colonel who resents Reisman's nonconformity and leadership style. He's not aware of Project Amnesty and is determined to find out.
Some people may consider you a first-class officer. But as far as I'm concerned, you're a disorganized, undisciplined clown. And I'm going to make it my business to run you right out of this army.
I owe you an apology, Colonel. I always thought that you were a cold, unimaginative, tight-lipped officer. But you're really quite emotional, aren't you?
Remember, Reisman is a major and telling off a colonel. What balls. It's this Lee Marvin irreverence which endears him to you in this movie. Tough when needed, but compassion on demand when called for. Reisman is briefed by an Army psychiatrist, Captain Stuart Kinder, played aptly by Ralph Meeker. More a physician than a soldier, and this is refreshing inside a war film. After interviewing the Dirty Dozen, he briefs Reisman.
So what does that give you?
It doesn't give me anything. But along with these other results, it gives you just about the most twisted, antisocial bunch of psychopathic deformities I have ever run into. And the worst, the most dangerous of the bunch is Maggot. You've got one religious maniac, one malignant dwarf, two near idiots, and the rest I don't even want to think about.
Well, I can't think of a better way to fight a war.
Very funny. Well, the thing is that the results of these tests points to the fact that each man has a built-in resentment against any kind of authority. Any kind.
Don't you?
But this is different. These guys think the United States Army is their enemy, not the Germans.
Well, they know the United States Army, but the Krauts haven't done anything to them yet.
As a side note, the term malignant dwarf has vexed me since seeing this film for the first time. I've scoured the internet and referred to the American Psychiatric Association's professional reference book on mental health and brain-related conditions. There's no psychological term called malignant dwarf. I'm told it's not a medical term, but in this movie's context, it's anything but meaningless. I propose the term as a metaphor for war, resembling a malignant cancer. And dwarf, referring to the act of war within the pantheon of human pursuits, is a small, insignificant endeavor. My take is, those promulgating war could be described as malignant dwarfs. Colonel Breed, maybe he is the malignant dwarf, is humiliated by Reisman when Donald Sutherland, playing Pinkley, must assume the role of a general to keep the mission a secret from Breed. He inspects Breed's troops standing at attention.
Which one of you guys wants to be a general?
A general?
Do you what? Pinkley?
What kind of a general, sir?
Just a plain, ordinary, everyday, home-loving American general.
I'd rather be a civilian, sir. What do I have to do?
You seen generals inspecting troops before? Just walk slow, look dumb, and act stupid. Up one rank and down the other and straight back to the truck. They're expecting a general here today, and that's exactly what they're going to get. So let's go.
Just before the big raid, the Dirty Dozen study the infiltration plan together with a repeated rhyme to help them remember their roles inside the mission.
1.
Down to the roadblock we've just begun.
2.
The guards are through.
3.
The Major's men are on a spree.
4.
Major Wadaslaw go through the door.
5.
It's not lost on this viewer. Childlike rhyme is the most effective learning tool for this group of emotionally and mentally challenged convicts turned lethal teammates. It's also ironic this group of what the German high command would term inferiors will be annihilated by them. Upon parachuting into northern France, the German-speaking Vladislav, played by Charles Bronson, and Reisman infiltrate the lavish chateau disguised as German officers to help the rest of the team inside. Maggot breaks cover by murdering an officer's sexy spouse, played aptly by Dora Reiser, and firing at his teammates before he is killed by Jefferson for compromising the mission. See the poetic justice? Jim Brown retired from the Cleveland Browns during filming this movie. The sound of gunfire makes the German officers and their companions retreat to a locked underground bomb shelter. The unit pours gasoline through ventilation shafts, and Jefferson throws grenades into the shelter through the shafts, killing the officers and their civilian guests like barbecued Wiener Schnitzel. I hope each of those dying for just one moment thought about the concentration camp ovens raging. Oh, but we didn't know. We were just following orders. Only Reisman, Sergeant Bowron, and Wadaslaw escaped back to England alive. General Worden pardons Vladislav. As the credits roll, Reisman communicates to the other convicts next of kin that
TR, Jimenez, JP, Maggot, AJ.
They lost their lives in the line of duty.
a good bookend for this film is the 1970s Kelly's Heroes starring Clint Eastwood. A maxim of this podcast is nothing happens in film by accident, and the success of The Dirty Dozen in '67 was likely the motivation for Kelly's Heroes. Look for Donald Sutherland shining as a beatnik-like tank driver, along with a catchy movie theme song, Burning Bridges, written by Mike Curry.
Friends all tried to warn me, but I held my head up high. All the time they warned me, but I only passed them by. They all tried to tell me, but I guess I didn't care. I turned my back and left them standing there. All the burning bridges that have fallen after me. All the lonely feelings and
Watch the 2009 Inglourious Bastards after The Dirty Dozen, and you'll find many similarities. Nazis cooked to death in a theater owned by a sexy Jewish woman hell-bent on revenge is a nice twist as Brad Pitt, playing Lieutenant Aldo Rain, leading an irreverent group of Jewish GIs on a mission to destroy the German High Command, scalping heads as the mission unfolds.
My name is Lieutenant Aldo Rain, and I'm putting together a special team, and I need me 8 soldiers. 8 Jewish American soldiers. We're gonna be dropped into France dressed as civilians. Once we're in enemy territory, as a bushwhacking guerrilla army, we're gonna be doing one thing and one thing only: killing Nazis. Now, I'm the direct descendant of the mountain man Jim Bridger. That means I got a little engine in me. And our battle plan will be that of an Apache resistance. We will be cruel to the Germans. And through our cruelty, they will know who we are. Sound good?
Yes, sir!
That's what I like to hear. But I got a word of warning for all you would-be warriors. When you join my command, you take on debit. A debit you owe me, personally. Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. And I want my scalps. And all y'all will get me 100 Nazi scalps, taken from the heads of 100 dead Nazis. Or you will die trying.
The addition of multilingual opportunist SS officer played by Christoph Waltz hunting Jews like a bloodhound was a good twist. But this cat wasn't fooled. The Dirty Dozen was likely the inspiration for the film. Nothing happens in film by accident. The story of The Dirty Dozen is rounded out by Charles Bronson, a former officer of Vladislav, who shot and killed a medic who deserted and hates officers. And George Kennedy plays Major Armbruster, a buddy of Reisman, who understands Reisman and runs interference for him with the brass. There are many more. Check out the cast. The Dirty Dozen was filmed in England at MGM British Studios and released by MGM. There's a cool trailer with the cast cruising about 60s mod London while shooting. It's on YouTube. The film was adapted from the novel written by Erwin Nathanson. His mother was institutionalized for depression when he was 2 years old, so he lived in an orphanage. You can't help but see Nathanson's experience with mental illness and institutionalization inside this story. The novel was inspired by a real-life World War II unit named the Filthy 13. Some speculate the story was inspired by President Roosevelt's offer to 44 prisoners serving life sentences at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary to serve in the Pacific War on suicide missions against the Japanese. The director was Robert Aldrich, who already had directed Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, and The Flight of the Phoenix, to name a few. He's a legend. Check him out. The screenplay was written by Nunnally Johnson and Lucas Heller, both with extensive filmographies. The film was a box office success and won the Academy Award for Best Sound Editing at the 40th Academy Awards in 1968. The film's themes of nonconformity, anti-war, I contend, resonated with audiences. Why do I watch this film again and again? Well, I see myself in Major Reisman and Victor Franco. I was never a joiner and resented authority over me manifesting itself as early as grade school. I chose self-employment. You might ask yourself, who do you resemble or admire inside the film, and why? Until I see you next time, please leave behind a soft footprint, and class is dismissed.
And I'll take Jonathan's views on The Dirty Dozen and Inglourious Bastards one step further. It's more than similarities. Just as Tarantino's other movies are direct homages to martial arts films and blaxploitation films, I would argue that Inglourious Bastards was a direct homage to The Dirty Dozen, The Great Escape, and other ensemble war films. But The Dirty Dozen still holds up remarkably well. And those who would later borrow from its memorable scenes, well, you know what they say about imitation. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's collection of fiction at the Jonathan B. Farini Story Collection at jonathanfarini.com. Also, look for Jonathan's latest short story, The Mine Shaft, in which a troubled young woman and a retired gold miner get trapped in a shuttered gold mine. This mystery thriller, as well as another short story by Jonathan, The Note Inside the Nook, have both been published in the summer edition of Infinity Wanderers magazine, now available on Amazon and Audible, or drop an email to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.